Hello Scouts from Troop 899. Wanted to do a quick video for those of you joining us backpacking this weekend on the cooking equipment that we are going to have. So for the most part, none of you have used this stuff to my knowledge, so I wanted to just kind of go through a few things so you can see what we're going to be using, how easy it is to set it up, so that you are at least somewhat aware of what you're getting yourself into on Saturday evening and Sunday morning. So first things first, we'll be using the Cobia Spider stove. It's, as you can see, it's smaller than my hand. It's a pretty small stove, really lightweight, which is ideal for backpacking. Comes folded up like this, very easy. You just unwrap the line and then you spread out the legs in the shape of a spider. So very simple to set up. It also comes with an igniter. You can't see it, but there is a spark that comes out of this end. However, I will admit these are challenging to use at the best, and I've burned more hair off of my knuckles than you can imagine using one of these things. So I recommend you guys bring a lighter with you. This is also a perfect opportunity to wrap some duct tape around your lighter just in case you experience a tear in your tent or your backpack. It makes for very easy repairs having that duct tape with you. Our fuel source are these small little isobutane canisters. They contain about 220 grams worth of fuel. This is more than enough than what we will need for 2 meals throughout this camping trip. So now we have enough stoves for each scout, for each 2 scouts to share a stove and a fuel canister for this weekend, which you know, again, trying to cut down on as much weight as we possibly can. You know, sharing the stove and sharing fuel absolutely makes sense. We also have cook kits. Very simple. Again, much different than what you guys are used to camping in our normal setups, because it is obviously much smaller. These cook kits, excuse me, handle opens up, lid pops out. There are 2 bowls in this. These bowls are, again, not real big, so if you have your own mess kit, you should be bringing that with you. But you can easily boil 4 cups of water in this. So most of the freeze-dried meals that you guys will find at either Bass Pro or Walmart or any of the camping stores here locally require somewhere around 16 ounces worth of water, which is 2 cups. So you can very quickly boil 2 cups of water in this, pour it in, and then refill the 2 cups and allow your partner to fill, to boil their water to, pour into their cook set as well. So now the big reason that we are using these kind of setups is Bsa Rules. So BSA high adventure policies state that scouts are required to use remote line stoves because they're safer. So remote line means this, right? So a remote line is exactly what we use with our regular stoves. It's a line that goes from the stove to the tank that allows the stove itself to sit on the ground, because that creates a more stable base and it keeps the center of gravity much lower. I'll show you in just a second. So instead of the stove mounting on top of the canister, it sits right on the ground, and the line itself has a valve, and that is what mounts to the canister. Again, it keeps everything closer to the ground. It's much more challenging for it to tip over. It's not going to necessarily tip over on its own. The chances of you kicking it are much less as well. So let's kind of go through setup here. Pan in here a little bit closer on what we're working with to see if I can show you a little easier what we're trying to do here. All right. Not perfect, but this will work. Okay, so again, mentioned remote line. So this valve right here screws right onto the top of this. Pretty simple. Okay, now there's this little knob here. This is what controls your fuel flow. This is the other reason why these are so beneficial. You don't have to get your hand super close to the flame to adjust the flow of fuel like you do a lot of other backpacking style stoves. Again, it comes with this igniter, but a lighter is always going to be preferable. So to light this stove, you just open up the valve until you hear the fuel flowing. There you go, it's lit. Now you should already have water in your pot, and you'll just set your pot on there and you'll wait till it boils. As soon as it boils, you just turn your fuel off and you're good to go. Now, we are going to be smart about this, and we are going to, back up here. As soon as you are done with your boiling your water, you need to make sure you remove your fuel canister from your stove. These stoves, unlike the stoves that we use on our normal camping trips, are not meant to stay connected to fuel over long periods of time. So you use it, you disconnect it, you let it cool down, and then you put it away. This is not something you have to worry about putting in your bear bag or anything like that to hang with the rest of your food at night, but we don't want to leave those fuel canisters attached to the stove overnight. One, when it gets cold, these canisters, if they're connected, have a tendency to leak, and we don't want to lose fuel. But two, it can also damage the seals in the stove over time if we're not smart about it. So we just want to take good care of these. Again, if we ever decide to do additional high adventure or longer high adventure trips, we need these stoves to last us for a long time. They are really high quality stoves, which means that they are not cheap. And we wanted to make sure that you guys had the best equipment possible to use while we're out here on this trip, because we want it to be fun. And we want you guys to, enjoy yourselves and want to come back. So we will kind of go over this briefly at the trailhead on Saturday morning. But these stoves are what we're going to be taking with us. These pots are what you guys are going to be cooking in. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer anything I can before we get ready to take off on our trip. So with that, that's the stoves we're going to be using, and I can't wait to see you guys on Saturday.